Hello and welcome back. In this video, we want to find the integral of 3 divided by 2 square root x times the quantity x plus 1. And this one isn't apparently clear on which inverse trig function we're going to have because you do see a square root and you see something outside of a square root. So it's kind of a toss-up on what we're going to see. But we do know for sure that this is going to have to be a substitution problem because we don't recognize this as anybody's derivative. So you could first try using u to be the x plus 1, and sadly that doesn't pan out very well. Instead, we're going to take the square root of x as our u. So let's take the u to be the square root of x, which is the same thing as x to the 1/2 power. Take our derivative, du dx. We know that's 1/2 x to the negative 1/2, or same thing as 1 over 2 square root x. So dx then is going to be 2 square root x times du. All right, so now we need to substitute back, and you will notice that we're going to have a cancellation happening. And it depends on your perspective here, but remember, you really don't have to substitute in everything all at once, all the time. What you can do is kind of substitute selectively if you know where things are going to be going when you look at our problem. So we can tell right away that we've got a 2 square root x that's already in our original problem. And we know that when we replace the dx, we're going to have a 2 square root x du. So there's really no sense in replacing that square root of x in our denominator with the u when we know it's going to cancel out very shortly. The other thing we'll notice here is we're going to have an x plus 1 in our denominator, but we also know that u is equal to the square root of x. So if we square both sides of that, u squared is the square root of x squared, which is just x. So we can swap out that x with a u squared plus 1 down below. And now you'll notice that wonderful things happen in this problem. We will have our 2 square root of x's canceling out. We can factor out our 3 in front of the integral. And we get 1 over the integral of u squared plus 1 du, which we once again recognize as the inverse tangent of u plus our constant c. And then, as always, we go back in and replace that u, which if we go back was equal to the square root of x. And we have found our integral, 3 times the inverse tangent of the square root of x. Once again, we can check our work by taking the derivative and simplifying it down. But again, it's nice to know that when you're making a substitution, you don't necessarily have to replace every single part of the variable. And by the way, if you did actually make that substitution and swap out that square root of x with the u, you'd have to rewrite your du in terms of u instead of leaving it in terms of x. And then you still get that same cancellation. So either way, you're still going to end up with the correct answer if you do all of your calculus and algebra correctly.